Is Kanye West misunderstood? Is he crazy? Or is he a genius music marketer? What's up, guys? This is Omari with No Nonsense Music Marketing, the number one place for music business and industry advice online. If you are a serious musician, go on and click that subscribe button because we go over key content that you need for your music career in the year 2022. So recently, rapper mogul Kanye West has been in a lot of headlines over the past week. This all started, if you're unfamiliar with the story, you must be under a rock. However, let's do a quick synopsis. Last week, Kanye West was featured. We'll put a photo on the screen with Candace Owens wearing a shirt that said "White Lives Matter" at a fashion event. Later on, a few days later, he appeared on Tucker Carlson on Fox News doing a two-part long-form content interview explaining his position on that, as well as talking about some other topics in the interview, which we'll dive into all that. Later on, a few days later after that, he posted on Twitter the phrase, "I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people." The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jewish. It says actually Jew, but he meant Jewish. Also, you guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone whoever opposes your agenda. This is amongst other things where he posted text exchanges with Diddy and some other people on his Instagram page. So a lot happened within the past week. So we'll address each part of this, but what can we learn first off the bat? What can we learn marketing wise about this from a music standpoint? No matter what you said or no matter how you feel or what you agree with what Kanye West said, what can we learn marketing wise from this? I said it in a previous video, maybe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that, and I say this fairly often, whenever you have contrarian thinking, that is one of the easiest ways to do marketing to get headlines. If you're saying something you're told you're not supposed to say, then or it's, even if you're in a field that you're not supposed to be in, hypothetically speaking, let's say there's a black hockey player or a black country music star. A lot of times this is easier for a black country music star or a white rapper to get more headlines because they're kind of in the position that, they're the minority in that position. So if they do really well, it'd be like a white running back in the NFL or something like that, to where if they're excelling at that position, then they're going to just get a lot more press than other people because it's just not what they're supposed to, in air quotes, do. So with Kanye West, the first thing he did that got the headlines was everybody within the past, 5 years-ish was talking about Black Lives Matter. So the movement versus the organization, there's obviously a lot of, controversy between that versus the movement and the organization. Most people have no problem with the statement, the actual statement of Black Lives Matter. However, the organization is the thing that people were trying to go after, saying that they used the phrase and the emotional pain of people of color, and they just use all that pent up frustration to gain money for the organization. So what Kanye West did was the contrarian thing. Nobody made shirts or merchandise or had an organization, to my knowledge, or that had any sort of press that said White Lives Matter. Now, there were people saying all lives matter a lot within the past few years. However, what he did was just do the opposite. So it depends on really how much smoke you want. Like, what do you really want to get yourself into? A lot of people don't have the blood pressure for that. They don't have the mindset for that. They really don't have the stamina for all that. So thus, they just kind of play it safe with their marketing. But if you do have that temperament, it is one of the quickest ways to get big in any field. We saw this with Andrew Tate. If you're not familiar with Andrew Tate, again, you must be under a rock. However, Andrew Tate was at one point within the last few months the number one most Googled person in the world. So this was the most famous person in the world. Why? Because he was saying things that you're, quote, not supposed to say, and some things that may be considered controversial. Some things that definitely I don't agree with. You don't have to agree with everything somebody says. However, that is how he was able to get very big very quickly. Same sort of mindset with Kanye West during the past week, especially. So he's been headline after headline after headline consistently because it started with the White Lives Matter shirt. Now, after that, the next thing he did that you're, quote, not supposed to do was go on to Fox News as a black conservative person. So obviously there are black conservatives. Like, I don't know what percentage it is. It's a rising percentage, but the point is he went on there while it's still the lower percentage of black people who would align that way politically. So, and especially the point to that is especially in Hollywood or the music scene or entertainment, any of those fields. So one, most entertainers in Hollywood and entertainment and the music scene throughout all the record labels, most of them, regardless of color, are not going to align conservatively, maybe outside of country music. So you have country music, most of them, a good percentage would align that way. And then kind of outside of that, if you look through most of the content that's on Netflix or most content that's on Hulu, owned by Disney, look through any of it, it's just not going to skew that way. It's mostly going to skew the other way politically. So what Kanye West did, and I think he's sincere in this, is that he just said, hey, I don't really think this way. And, obviously he may have a view. Most people are going to have some views that like they align with a different party, but most of his views, he's saying, hey, most of what I think is actually more conservative. So why is that wrong for me to say I just align this way? He was saying in his interview on Tucker Carlson that he did like President Trump, but during his campaign, he was saying that he didn't feel like he could speak out on it because his PR person and people around him were saying that you can't say that because you're, quote, not supposed to say it. So what would we take from this from the music marketing standpoint? Just because you're not supposed to do something, it's almost cowardly to not say something when you do feel a certain way. The other side of this is that we should have more open debate in society. So whenever you're doing music marketing ads or doing any sort of advertising, you get a lot of comments on on the ad you're putting out. Sometimes people are just being trolls and they really they're unhappy with their lives. So they just leave negative comments on everything. Any ad that we've done for clients or done for ourselves, there's going to be somebody who has something negative to say. That's usually just because they don't like themselves and they're just miserable. However, sometimes they are just giving their genuine feedback, or they just might disagree with what you're saying, and that is okay. You need to engage with that discussion rather than just shutting down all conversation. I think we got to this place to where a lot of people are just upset at everything because there's no conversation about it. It's just people just trying to say, this is it. This is my way, this is the highway, or else, you're fired, you're out, you're done, you're canceled, so on and so forth. So a lot of what Kanye West said or did, we can take a good bit of marketing knowledge from that. On the other side, on the flip side. So I do have to say this because I've said this many times on my channel. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Christian. So Kanye's out there saying that he's a Christian. Here's where that contrarian thinking actually doesn't work. When he's presenting himself as a Christian and simultaneously a lot of the behavior he had on his accounts, he's cursing in a lot of these exchanges, is very vulgar, very dismissive of people. It's just not what aligns with what Jesus says in the Bible and what God teaches. So him doing those things while saying that, he's doing this in the name of God, especially for people who don't know God, many of which may be watching this channel, it's not sending the right signal. Now, I'm not talking about his stances on life. I'm not talking about any of the stances that actually would align with, what God says, versus the other things on social media, some of the erratic behaviors around the tweets about Jews on Twitter that got him banned off Twitter. That is not what I'm advocating for in the marketing sense. I am advocating for a more wise approach at being contrarian in your thinking and incorporating that into your marketing. However, I'm not saying to do overtly crude or overtly racist things. One example would be that, somewhere around the 60s, 70s, 80s, there used to be a lot more, being proper in your dress, being upstanding in your presentation. However, they recognize that, hey, if we just wear less clothes in our movies and our music, and we do all these things that we're, again, quote, not supposed to do, we're going to get a bunch of views. Problem with those ones is it's degenerate, right? It's gotten so much so degenerate that people think it's commonplace, and that if you actually do recognize that it's degenerate, then they say that you're hating, you're shaming them, rather than just calling it what it is. So, to be clear, I am not saying to go do things that are immoral or that are unjust just to get views. We know that if you watch any of my other videos, of course, I'm not advocating you to do that. I am saying if you're just trying to challenge people's thinking, there's a way to do that with marketing, that you hold on to your principles, you hold on to your morals, you hold on to what you're presenting yourself as, especially for Christian people. For Christians to be in the public square, professing Christians, I should say that, be in the public square, hold the stances that they hold. There's a way to do it, and there's a way not to do it. So we'll go back to the other question. Is Kanye West crazy? Is he misunderstood? Or is he a marketing genius? I think it's a little bit of all three. So you can let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you think Kanye is crazy. Let me know if you think he's a marketing genius. Let me know if you think he's a fashion genius. Whatever you feel about it, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a discussion, and I'll catch you in the next video.